back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real life working screenwriter, of which Josh and I are one. I am Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
As a reminder, we are Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter, of which this podcast is just one of the things we do. Thank you for joining us here. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming topics. You can give us a rating, write a really terrible comment if you want, though that doesn't really serve us very well. So maybe just like email us a terrible comment.
Yeah.
But don't put it on the thing.
Yeah.
and we'll take your constructive criticism.
I dare someone to give me some constructive criticism. I handle it well.
We'll talk about it on the podcast. We'll see how Josh takes notes live and in person.
Yeah. There's nothing feels better than getting a direct, like those little comments where they're like, "Hey, Josh, you talk too much." No big deal. I feel good about that.
I can definitely change that as a host of a podcast.
You're just making things up on the fly. Tasha sounds prepared. All right.
I feel like some insecurities are coming out there. No, Paul, our editor, is a genius and makes us sound smart every day.
I feel like
you're actually really dumb, and he just edits things together to make it sound like coherent sentences.
Yeah, he's created like robot AI that does our voices, that makes us say things.
Speaking of, can we talk as of This Week in Writing about the news that Bruce Willis has signed an agreement that we, not you and I, but people can use his, like a deep fake version of him to create future Bruce Willis movies. So let's just say in this future, a new Die Hard movie comes out starring quote unquote Bruce Willis. Are you watching that movie?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, I'm going to watch it, and then I'll probably stop watching it out of anger.
Yeah. That feels like the right arc.
Yeah, this is crazy. Is this true? I mean, can this actually happen? I guess. I just don't want it to.
Why not? It's like, it is a sci-fi movie where you're signing away your basic, like your life rights, basically, like your physical life rights. It's there. So now, but I'm also wondering, like, that includes deep faking his voice as well, right? Because I also heard, this is very much heard, I didn't read this myself from someone, I heard it from someone else, that they said that James Earl Jones has also signed over his voice to do future Star Wars Darth Vader voice.
Listen, I love me Star Wars. I love me some James Earl Jones a lot.
Yeah.
As someone who's been watching Star Wars for a very long time, I have a feeling he signed over his voice a long time ago.
That is fair.
Wait, so does this mean we're going to get more Darth Vader?
I mean, possibly. Now we can do whatever we want with Darth Vader because we got the voice.
Wow. All right. Brave new world ahead. I'm ready for it.
Are you?
No, I don't want that shit.
I just want to die before it all happens.
We don't have to go down this road, but it's so crazy that we just keep pushing these limits, and we know that the robots are going to turn on us. Like, that is,
we know.
That's the arc of that story. We already know how this ends. They're going to be helpful for a little bit. We kind of have robots that are helpful now in everything that we do, and then they're going to turn. And that's that. And that's just the way it's going to be.
And we're marching towards that gleefully, apparently.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm ready to fight. We actually have I feel like we have a little quick announcement to make here.
Do we?
We're going to be off next week.
Yeah.
Then we have a second larger announcement after that I don't even know if we can make on the podcast.
Why not?
Okay. So listen, podcast listeners. For the first time in the entirety of the Act Two podcast, we are skipping a week. And it is because Tasha is getting married.
It's a great title of a movie.
Cue awesome music. So yeah, we're taking off a week because and also let me just say this, right? couple weeks ago, I said, Tasha, you're going to get married. I think we should maybe take a week off from the podcast. And you were like, no, we can do it. We can just double up. We're going to record 2 in a week. We got this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if you say so. And then the other day I woke up with a text message that said, Paul has a really great idea. He thinks we should take he thinks we should take a week off from the podcast.
That's not what I said. I remembered that you said that, so I was trying to say like Paul supports you and also thinks we should take time off.
I felt like such a heartless asshole. Like I was the one pushing us into recording the freaking podcast.
That's how I said it to Paul too. I was like, Josh is making me do the podcast. He's making me do double duty.
We're recording.
We haven't skipped through the whole pandemic, I feel like.
I know.
And then here we are.
I know.
Stupid wedding.
You came down with COVID and we still had a podcast.
That's true. It's true. We are hardcore.
Yeah, we are.
So no, it's time for a break. It's time to allow myself to take a break. That's a message for all of you out there. Take a break. Your brain will be recharged. Watch, I bet you will come back and we'll have like 5 new spec ideas.
All because we took one break from the podcast. I'm worried we might not come back. We might never come back on the podcast.
I was like, oh, that break was so nice.
Yeah. Or you shoot me a message and you're like, we're going to keep going. And we're like, just record a quick episode.
Why don't we record at the wedding? How about that? Bring your stuff.
That's going to go over very well.
That does not set the tone for our future life together. Absolutely not.
Paul will be like, oh, God. So anyway, yeah, we're going to be off next week. And everyone wish Tasha a happy wedding.
Thank you.
That I'll be attending.
That you will be attending. Yeah. And the finale of the wedding is getting a puppy, which is also a good reason to take off because I'm getting a puppy for the first time.
Yeah.
You're like, also a wedding. Yeah, but I already feel like I'm married.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, yeah, you're gonna have a puppy. Oh my, this podcast is freaking done. I'm never gonna hear from you again. It's over. It's over, man.
But in the spirit of love and marriage and together foreverness, we're doing a special romantic movie episode.
Yeah. Romantic movie episode. We feel like we should just talk about it because this all ties together into the wedding. We're going to talk about some of our favorite romantic movies, maybe some characters, why they worked, and we just wanted to talk about it because you know what? Life is short.
Life is so short.
You're going to get married, and we're keeping to the theme. We're like,
love is a beautiful thing. And it's, Josh seems very hard and cold on the podcast, I know, but his heart lies in romantic comedies. So I'm excited to hear what romance movies have changed his life.
Yeah, I've got some in there. I've got some in there.
How do we do this? Do you do one and then I do one?
Yeah, I just want to start with the greatest love story of all time.
Oh, Ever After.
Okay, so you go ahead and start.
Oh, we're not on the same page.
Yeah, so you want to?
No,
you go ahead and do yours, and then I guess I'll do my greatest love story of all time.
No, you go first. Sorry.
All right, the actual greatest love story of all time. It happened on a ship called the Titanic, Tasha, between Jack and Rose Dawson.
Okay.
I love this movie. Saw it when I was younger. Obviously, everyone. I would be shocked if someone hasn't seen Titanic, right? At this point.
I wonder if newer generations have never seen Titanic.
Oh, that's fair. It's probably a little outdated to a lot of people at this point.
If you are in your 20s, please let us know if you have seen this movie.
Yeah, I would love. Yeah, Titanic. So I just loved it. I felt like it's just like the perfect love story to me. It's the two people from different backgrounds that come together. DiCaprio in his peak DiCaprio-ness, he sneaks his way onto the Titanic, or doesn't sneak, he wins a bet. He gets on there, he falls in love, he's fighting Billy Zane. He saves her life. It's just so beautiful to me. It has an amazing soundtrack in the movie, by the way. That's neither here nor there.
Amazing.
I just feel like that movie hit all the right beats. And then it takes place in like an action movie. Like the last hour of that movie is basically the Titanic sinking. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
The structure of that movie is
It's very sad.
incredible.
It is epic. It's not on my list. It's like actually like nowhere near my list as greatest.
Really?
Oh my God! It looked like I had just killed your puppy. I'm so sorry I said that.
I was just like, what? Wait, what?
I've seen that movie maybe like literally a couple times.
Interesting.
It's so tragic that I can't watch it that much, I think, is why. I don't like tragic romantic movies.
Okay. I mean, okay. Well, yeah, let's hear about Ever After then.
I'm sorry to shut it. No, but it's beautiful. You know, they're king of the world, and he's drawing her, and it's so romantic. And of course, the cool villain.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting aspect of the romance story is there's like a villain involved.
Yeah.
Which is actually really helpful because it could be a very boring story without this like antagonist that you as an audience member are rooting to be defeated by Leo.
And you're just rooting for them the entire time to get together. You want them to be together. You want Leo to succeed.
Yeah.
And there's just, and what's awesome about that movie is that it's rooted in around an actual thing that happened, which I think is really great because it sparked Titanic like fever after that. I mean, I'm sure it's like even current day, like Titanic stuff can probably all be, like in pop culture references, probably can be tracked back to James Cameron. That's all I'm saying.
Literally. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, my favorite of all time is Ever After, written by Susanna Grant, directed by Andy Tennant, starring Drew Barrymore and Dougray Scott. And it's amazing. It's the greatest movie ever written, ever produced, ever watched. Wow. Ever After.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh my God.
I know.
Now you've just killed my puppy.
I know. I think, you know what? As a wedding gift to you and Paul, I will be watching Ever After.
I'll take it. I'll take that gift. Forget the cups or plates or whatever you were going to get us. No. This is the gift.
You're still going to get cups for sure. But this is my new gift to the world is watching Ever After.
It's just so good. I tend to love. Well, I mean this is me projecting. Like I tend to write stories about characters who are sort of underdogs who figure out their power and become awesome by the end. Yeah. And I think that I am clearly drawn to romantic movies that have that same storyline because Ever After is about this poor girl who it's a Cinderella story. It's literally Ever After : a Cinderella story. So it's a rehash of the Cinderella story. And she's a nobody who the prince falls in love with, and she becomes a somebody, but not because he falls in love with her, but because that relationship that she has with him and the confidence that she has from someone who validates her and tells her, no, you are amazing, even though your stepsisters and stepmother tell you you're not. You actually are amazing. Like the confidence she grows from that changes her entire life. So even if you take the prince out of it at the end and they never get together, it's still an awesome movie. It's just so good. And I'm going to tell you something.
Please.
I tried to buy the Ever After Cinderella dress, which you will understand which I'm talking about when you watch the movie, for my wedding because they have wedding dresses that are like that.
Really?
But it didn't work.
What happened? You couldn't find it?
It's sold out. And the place I went to actually get my wedding dress is like a nerd wedding bridal shop. If you are in Los Angeles and you would like to know about it, Lorian Bridal, check it out. It's really awesome. But she says she gets a lot of people in there who actually request the Ever After wedding dress. And I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. She's like, no, we get this request so much that I think I'm going to have to make one.
Really?
So it's a thing.
Wow.
People know what's up.
Okay. I'm going to jump into another.
There's also like sword fighting in it. It's like really cool. Okay. Okay,
So
go.
that actually, it sounds like a perfect Tasha movie.
It's a perfect Tasha movie.
Are we ever going to get
If it,
rom-com, or not
it is
rom-com, but romance Tasha?
We're going to get this version, Cinderella story, because here's the thing about it. It's like, if you say, Tasha, redo a fairy tale, I don't want to do like a regular Cinderella story, like the live action Disney version. I want to do this version where she like knows how to fight with swords and she's like smart and cool. And it has all the like period drama stuff that I love, that kind of fantastical element of being in a different time. But it's just so good. Yeah, I would do that version. That's a Tasha version of a romantic movie.
Okay.
Although in my version, she'd probably be a spy or something. Let's just be honest.
Okay. I'm going to just, I think I just figured out your version of Ever After.
Okay.
You know what? No, I'll save it for off the podcast.
What's the log line?
The log line is, I can't think of it right now because I don't know the second half of the movie.
Okay, that's fair. All right. What's your next one?
Okay, you ready for this?
I don't know.
I don't think you're going to like this, but I'm going to go here.
Oh.
This is a little more on the fluff
Okay.
territory.
Okay.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Paul brought this up this morning as an option, and I was immediately shut it down.
Can we get Paul on the podcast right now?
Tell me why you liked it.
First of all, I really like the early 2000s rom-com territory. I'm not going to lie. I'm a sucker for all of these, like, these movies where it was whatever, like Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman and Timberlake and Mila Kunis. Like, I love all of these kind of movies. And there's something that is so lighthearted and almost cheesy about them that I appreciate it, and I love them. And I love that, I don't know, I just love like the fun nature of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah.
And it's like McConaughey and Kate Hudson trying to basically not like each other.
Yeah.
Like, this falls in like the What Happens in Vegas territory with Ashton Kutcher and Cameron Diaz. Love it. I love all these movies. I just love this shit.
Never saw that one. Again, I don't like the like negativity that's in them.
You know what it is? I think all these movies have in common, well, maybe not all of them, but like there's like the inciting incident probably is, oh, hey, you have to do this with this opposing partner. You know, Ashton Kutcher, you have to marry Cameron Diaz, or Matthew McConaughey. You have to figure out how to write a story about Kate Hudson, figure out how to write a story about someone falling out of love with you, or whatever it is. I just like that. It's like just set up. Like, here we go.
It's like a very, you're on a track. There's like a goal for the movie rather than just love stuff.
It's like a rom-com MacGuffin.
Yeah, totally is. That's a really great way of putting it. I can see that. Yeah, that's very much. That's the Joshian rom-com right there.
Yes, which would explain why you don't like any of my rom-coms that I've ever thrown at you. But okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love like 90s Matthew McConaughey rom-com guy. Like Wedding Planner. So
Love
good. It. Right? Like those kinds of movies I'm a huge fan of, but those are a little bit happier. There's less negativity in them. Silliness is still there. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's just my thing.
Big takeaway, the MacGuffin. Okay.
MacGuffin.
Let's hear it.
Okay. 10 Things I Hate About You. Starring Julia Stiles and Heath
That's
Ledger.
on my list. There's some overlap. We got it.
Adaptation of Taming of the Shrew. It's just, what's very bold about it, I mean, it takes from the Shakespeare, but there's two love stories going on at the same time. There are parallel tracks that you're following. And of course, the Julia Stiles Heath Ledger story is the A story, but your B story is you're invested in that as well. You want her sister to end up with what's his deuce?
Yeah. Heath Ledger or no?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
I mean, the soundtrack is so good. I remember when I watched it, I bought the soundtrack. I've watched this movie dozens of times. There's something so appealing to me about a girl, I guess, who is really guarded, who gets kind of broken down a bit by love. And then she becomes so vulnerable to him, and then that's so scary, and I like felt that journey of being so scared to like fall in love with someone, and then it kind of backfires on her, and she's like, why did I ever become vulnerable?
Yeah.
And then he shows up and is like, it's okay that you are vulnerable, I will keep you safe. I mean, that's not dialogue, that's just like the emotions of the movie, and that's so satisfying.
And then they have the end where she's like reading the note in the class and saying all the things.
So sad.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, everything that you just said, I completely agree with. And it's fun. There's a lot going on.
So fun.
You're right about having like the B story with the sister. That's really important. Because if it's just the A story, Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, it doesn't work as well.
It's not as good. I mean, it has that kind of mission quality a bit that you're looking for. Because she is doing it. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so correct me if I'm wrong. But she is on this path to like help her sister kind of get on the right path, right? Like there's some kind of like...
It's been a minute for me as well. I just know I have a feeling in my gut and in my heart that I love this movie.
I gotta rewatch it. It's so good. So sweet and sad but beautiful. Not too sad like your movies.
What?
Like Titanic.
All right.
Just sad enough.
I'm going to pick it up right here. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, whoa. That is a curveball.
Big time. And I had to say it. I almost didn't say it, but I was like, because I was thinking to myself, because obviously I feel like I mention True Lies at least once every week, like once every podcast episode. Yeah. I was thinking to myself, what action movies I like that have romance in them, and what stories I like action movies. And then I thought, oh my God, Indiana Jones with Indy and Marion has a interesting romantic element to it. And I just felt like I had to bring it up. Because that's not what Indiana Jones is. And I don't even think you think about that aspect when you think of Indiana Jones. But in Raiders of the Lost Ark, there is a very, very big drive for Indy to protect Marion throughout the movie. Like, that's the drive of the movie in the second half, right? Is like, where did she go?
Yeah, he has to go save her. Blah, blah, blah. No, I obviously love this movie, but lately someone has been like, these are all the problems with Marion and...
What person? Lately, someone who? You can't just say that. Just offhanded comment.
Yeah, we'll get that out of the style. Yeah, no, it's great. He there's like an arc to it.
Wait a minute.
Right? About him.
Does this person listen to the podcast?
Not currently.
All right. Listen, buddy, or female, buddy. I want to talk to this person. I just want to talk to him. I just want to fucking talk to this person.
I can tell you what they said, but it's just too sad.
All right, forget it. No, tell me what they said. I need to know. Let's do it. We're here.
Well, when he says, like, when he clearly had a relationship with Marion when she was younger.
Oh, okay. Let's move on from this.
Yeah. And she says, I was a child. Oh. And he says, you knew what you were doing.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Jesus. This is like the...
And then apparently there's evidence, there's records of Lucas and Spielberg talking about Marion possibly being like 11 or 12 at the time. So this is not canon. For me, whenever I watched it, and currently when I still watch it, I imagine when she says I was a child, she's speaking metaphorically, not literally. Like, I was young, I was naive. Like, that's what I always thought she was saying.
Well, this is just fucking disgusting and rude.
So that's what I'm saying.
I wish I wouldn't have pressed.
I know.
Okay, all right, let's move on. This conversation is done. On to the next movie, please. I'm
okay. I have a weird one that I would be very surprised if you or anyone who's listening has seen.
Great.
Mirror Has Two Faces.
Mirror Has Two Faces.
With Barbara Streisand and Jeff Bridges.
I don't know if I've seen it, but I know, like, I can picture the VHS/DVD cover of it. Yeah,
I bet you can. Yeah, totally. It's so good, you guys. It's so worth a watch. I just thought of another one that I have to add. Okay. So Mirror Has Two Faces. The basic premise is Barbara Streisand plays like the uglier younger sister of this her older sister is beautiful, always gets the guy, and her older sister has married into money. And her older sister at one point, who is getting older, says to Barbara Streisand, the saddest thing for a woman is to walk in the room and realize you're not the most beautiful woman in the room anymore. And there's something very sad for Barbara Streisand to hear that the only thing her sister values about herself is her own beauty. And that, of course, again, saddens her. Barbara Streisand, meanwhile, is a literature professor at NYU or some college in New York. And what I think she does is answers an ad for Jeff Bridges. Now, Jeff Bridges, meanwhile, his intro story is that he's always like dating his TAs. He's like a math professor. So he's super nerdy, kind of not socially adept. And he keeps dating younger women, and it's not working out because he's like too smart for them or too mature for them. And he's always just falling for good looks. So he puts out an ad for someone who's not pretty. It's like, I want someone who's not pretty, who wants to be in a relationship that's not about sex, because in Jeff Bridges' mind, sex ruins everything. So Barbara Streisand and Jeff Bridges like strike up this agreement, I should say, that they will live together and like get married and live an intellectual life. And it works for a while until it doesn't, because Barbara Streisand and Jeff Bridges start to fall in love with each other and realize that actually love is key to a relationship, and they learn to love each other through just being with each other, like intellectually. It's just so beautiful.
That does sound beautiful. I should watch that.
It's lovely. And again, I think I just like those stories of like,
yeah, there's a theme.
Girl who's down, who goes up. I don't know. Okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I could have talked about that. I just feel bad. I could have rambled about Mirror Has Two Faces because we're tapping into a Tasha thread here.
I think you can. Yeah, I think we're learning a lot about.
No. I feel like I know what kind of
my own
rom-com
issues.
we're gonna watch. Okay. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
All right.
Is this even considered a romance movie? Sure. Yes.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it is.
Yeah, I mean the whole entire like engine of the movie is about love, right?
It's about love. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch Eternal Sunshine, I feel like, if you're a screenwriter, right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
First of all, it's one of I love this movie. I love this movie.
I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah, I love it. And someone tries to erase their memory. Jim Carrey's just flailing, trying to figure out what happened to their relationship, and you get to see this relationship play out. It like time jumps and it cuts, and it's just very creative. And then basically the message at the end, very similar to The Mirror Has Two Faces, sort of, is like kind of love prevails. Like these two people are meant for each other. You can erase each other's memories. You can try to forget all the baggage and all the bullshit that's happened, but these two people are connected to each other because of love.
Yeah.
And they might, you just can't, I find it to be beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Although it's a very depressing movie at times.
Yeah. It is very sad at times because I think it so taps into our own feelings about love and our own, like how much it tears you apart and how much it can hurt you, but also the love that like we all crave when we're in bad relationships. Anyways, this movie makes me want to go hug Paul.
Yeah.
This conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point of this podcast.
No, it's great. It's such an unusual, that's why it's a good screenwriting movie. It's such an unusual structure and like sci-fi element to tell a story, to make what would otherwise be maybe a generic theme into something really unique. So yeah, super creative. I wonder in the process of that, what came first? It feels like the high concept came first of like a guy who wants to get his memories taken out because they're too painful. And then the love story needed to get injected in there to give it drive.
I agree. That sounds about right.
But the love story is what makes you want to watch it, which is a really good screenwriting lesson because so many times when I come up with particularly sci-fi ideas, I come up with a sci-fi concept like experimentation on humans to make them superhuman, or Google voice becomes sentient, and I don't know, whatever. You usually come up with like the sci-fi thing first, and there's no story there.
Yeah.
So You really, and again, what you remember from Eternal Sunshine is the love story. You don't remember the sci-fi stuff. The sci-fi stuff is just fun and gets you through it. So,
yeah,
good lesson.
I'm a big fan of even kind of like what you were saying is about the mirror has two faces and that message that there's this intangible thing that brings people together, and you have fallen in love, and there's no escaping it. You are meant for each other.
Yeah.
And I really like that when that happens in movies.
You believe in soulmates, Joshua?
Oof, Tasha, do I believe in soulmates? Fucking sure. For this podcast, yeah, sure.
I feel like you do.
I think I do. I do believe in soulmates.
I can tell from the movies that you like.
Yeah, I do. I do.
All right. My next one is again one that probably people have not seen. I accidentally saw it. It's a 1991 rom-com. Rom-dram. It's called Dogfight. Have you seen this movie?
No.
With River Phoenix and Lily Taylor.
No. How have I not seen this movie?
It's so good. It's set in the 1960s. River Phoenix is one of a few sailors, one of which is Brendan Fraser, who are getting shipped off to Vietnam like the next day. And so they play a game. They're getting drunk on their last night and they're playing a game called Dogfight. And the object of the game is to go out into the city and find the ugliest woman you can find. Make her fall in love with you and bring her back to the bar. And whoever has the ugliest woman wins.
Jesus Christ.
It's awful. It's an awful premise, but it's a beautiful love story because he ends up finding Lily Taylor, who they really uglified to be in this movie. She is so cute, but she's a huge dork. And he tries to woo her, and she's like, "Get the fuck out of here! I know what you're doing. There's no way someone like River Phoenix is into me. Like you're no, not happening." And then they fall in love over the course of the night in like a real genuine way. And he is so sad to leave her at the end of the night. And when he brings her back to the bar, everyone's kind of making fun of her. He's like, "Oh, dude, you won." And he's like, "No, don't fucking talk to her like that. She's an amazing, beautiful woman."
Yeah.
And it's just so great.
Another message I love. That's I love that. That's like She's All That. In message wise.
Another movie I love.
Yeah,
I love these. I love those movies.
Yeah. What would be that? It's like that. It's almost like a subgenre of rom-coms of that, where it's these people who are, you set out to make fun of somebody else and then you end up falling in love.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. This next movie I friggin' love. Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, interesting choice.
Based off of the novel.
Yeah.
Which I haven't read.
But thanks for bringing it up.
Apparently there's some words about this movie somewhere. I fucking love this movie. I love it. Kind of similar to Titanic in the sense that it's these people from two different areas. Although in this case, the girl doesn't know where he is from. Like, she doesn't know that she's dating one of like the richest people around. Yeah. But I just love this idea of like coming into the family. The family doesn't like you. You're winning over the family. The man or anyone, the man or woman is like steadfast in their love, but it's kind of like against all odds. And then Crazy Rich Asians has a wedding scene that might be my favorite wedding scene. I'm almost getting choked up just thinking about it. My favorite wedding scene.
Tell me about it.
That I've ever watched. It's wait, you've seen Crazy Rich Asians? Once. Do you remember the wedding scene?
No.
You don't remember the wedding scene?
So tell me about it, genuinely.
So there's water spread across the floor. It's just, obviously it's a very elaborate wedding. And it's not the wedding for the main characters. They go to a different wedding. The guy, Henry Golding, he walks down the aisle and they're playing a song, which I can't remember the name of the song, But the Constance Wu, I believe that's her name, is she's standing like in the crowd and she's just looking at Henry Golding. And it's this very romantic moment. And then he mouths, "I love you," while this music is going on, and she smiles. And it is just like the most beautiful thing because it's someone else's wedding, but you kind of see them in that moment and they are just locked onto each other. So if you haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians, I highly suggest it, because if you can work your way up to that kind of moment, man, if you can earn that in a movie, you've won.
Just tears at that moment.
I just cry all the time. I cry a lot in movies. Nicole always looks at me and she's like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No."
I cry all the time too.
No, I'm okay. I'm good. Anyway, so
I think you said like a very key phrase, which is "against all odds," which is a huge sort of trope in these movies that really make it work. And in that movie, the "against all odds" is just every single family member, including the most important one, Michelle Yeoh, the mother of the group, not wanting Constance Wu and Henry Golding to get together, right? So constantly telling her she's not good enough to the point where she believes it herself and is going to like back out of the relationship, right? If I remember correctly. So that's what makes that moment, I think, so satisfying, is that despite sort of what you would expect to happen as we live and breathe in our own daily lives, you know, people with money don't often pick someone without money or without the same education. Like, it's very rare to have that sort of Prince and the Pauper arc work in these relationships in real life. So the fact that Henry Golding goes against what you would absolutely expect of him and like forgive him for, because this is just what happens in real life, is what makes it so rewarding, I think. And that's what makes it a fantasy.
Yeah, this is never going to happen to you or anybody else, by the way. But, you know, it's interesting because I feel like if you're writing a movie, if you're setting out to write a rom-com or a romance movie or anything, the main thing that you have to remember, and I think what we're kind of taking away, is that love prevails. You can put your characters through absolutely anything, but love is going to prevail at the end. You just need to figure out the most unique way to get to that moment.
Yeah.
No?
I'm pausing because when I've written my own rom-com, of which I have done once, the difficulty in writing it becomes that second act section where you do have to throw obstacles in their way. And like, what obstacles do you throw that achieves this great Titanic, Crazy Rich Asians, 10 Things I Hate About You kind of ending that's so rewarding? It's very hard. And I feel like maybe we should do kind of what we did last episode, where we kind of broke a log line. Maybe we should break like a rom-com log line and see what we can see in the second act as some good ways of throwing obstacles against your couple so that it's an against all odds story.
I love it. I love the against all odds. Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of against all odds, the last two movies I have are very much that. I guess I'll bring up, you have two more?
I can be done.
All right.
Yeah, take us home.
Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is like, to me, feels like an against all odds story. It's another one where it's a poor Ewan McGregor, just a poor poet, nobody guy who meets the most beautiful woman in all of Paris, Nicole Kidman. And she's the most unattainable goddess you could ever possibly meet. And those two fall in love. And the obstacles that are against them is the same night they meet, or I think at least around the same night, a new figure enters the like brothel or burlesque show that they all work in. Nicole Kidman works in, who is going to like save the whole show. He's an investor. He's a duke. He is going to make sure that this show never ends and that everyone who works here continues to have a home and they don't have to go back to the streets, that's the happy ending they've all been looking for, right? But enter Ewan McGregor, who Nicole Kidman inconveniently falls in love with, because her job is to fall in love with the Duke, or to pretend to, so that he will invest in this show. That's her only job. You will save everyone in this show if you just make the Duke fall in love with you. So there's stakes there. They're like, everyone else is relying on her, but she just can't do it. But she pretends. She pretends as best as she can. And I think that that Against All Odds story really works. And the other piece is that she's dying.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know, and she has to hide it from him. And that new information that she's dying is what makes her decide to tell him that she doesn't love him, because she doesn't want to break his heart. And she has to save her people. And so, I don't know. I'm going to ramble.
I love it.
But that's what's so beautiful about it. The Against All Odds really work in that story.
I love it. It's against all odds. I think that's what I gravitate towards with these movies.
Yeah. Also, one of the most thematic movies I've ever seen in my entire life. If you want to learn about motifs and themes, watch that movie. It's incredible.
Can I ask you one last thing?
Yeah.
Where do you fall with the movie Love Actually?
I love Love Actually. Okay. I feel like I watch it like every Christmas.
Yeah, mandatory.
Mandatory viewing.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I've met people who aren't that high on Love Actually, and it always weirds me out.
It's not like the feel-good movie of the year. I don't watch it like the same way I might watch 10 Things I Hate About You or Ever After to like feel good about love. But yeah, no, that's required viewing.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's our love talk, everybody.
That's it. Those are that we've. It's good. I feel like I actually kind of figured some things out about what makes these movies tick.
I want to break one down now. I'm excited.
I do too. The obstacles is really. It kind of came up when you were talking about 10 Things I Hate About You. Those obstacles are really important in movies like this, because you need your main couple to have adversity and to bump against things and to do things and to go to a carnival. But when they go to the carnival, the ex-boyfriend or the ex-girlfriend are there. Like these, you need these moments, and hopefully, those moments are substantial and rooted in character. And
that's the tough part, is to find ones that don't feel written. Like, I'm just putting an obstacle in front of this couple for there to be an obstacle because I know there needs to be one. Like, the best movies do it so effortlessly that you don't even notice it's happening. You're just experiencing it. So I think that's why it's worth breaking one down, to see what we can see. Like, it's kind of like tearing the car apart to see how it works. That's how it feels like kind of breaking a log line for this might be.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in.
All right. Cool. Quote of the day.
Let's go.
Things can't just happen because they look cool. It has to be related to the story and character driven, both in visual effects and world building. Action also needs to have character development in it. World building has to have a lot of restraint and limitations because everything has to make sense. Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram or on Twitter at Tasha 3.0.
And I am Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram.
And as always, the Act Two podcast is a production of Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist, music by 414 Beg, which you can find on Spotify.